Hello and welcome to episode 28 of the Carvecast. My name's Adam, I'm your host for this episode and every other episode actually. And I just want to say thank you so much for everyone who has been listening and watching. All of the statistics are absolutely going through the roof and I'm just hugely grateful for that. Thank you very much. Now on top of that, I'm recording this on the 21st of December, so I must say a huge happy Christmas to all of you. I hope some of you are getting to ski over the Christmas period. I won't be skiing over the Christmas period, but I will be leaving on the 27th of December, which I'm very much looking forward to. I'm going to cover the details of that later in the episode. But yet again, I'm going to just say happy Christmas to everybody. I'm about to go out to a Christmas party, a family Christmas party after this. I hope all of you guys are seeing all of your loved ones and relatives and just having the most fantastic festive period. Now in this episode, we have got a lot to cover. I really enjoyed the previous episode talking to Marlin, who is from Moxis, who create the 3D printed insoles. If you haven't listened to that one, listen to it because it is actually quite interesting and she is a really, really smart, intelligent lady and I enjoyed my conversation with her. Now in this episode, we are not only going to talk about my bumper 3-week ski journey around Europe, but I'm also going to talk about how you would go about doing that yourselves. Most people, when they go on a ski trip, they go to a resort. I personally like to go to lots of resorts, as you guys know, and I know 3 weeks is a long time, but you don't have to do 3 weeks in order to go around different ski resorts. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I've also got a bumper ski gear edition as well. In the ski gear segment of the show, I have got goggles, a 360 camera, a handheld drone that is quite literally going to track you and follow you down the slopes without even needing to have a remote control. We're going to talk about some ski liners, and I've even got this very unique item, which is a little blue funny shaped object that I'm holding in my hands. Obviously the listeners can't see it, but the viewers can. I'm going to talk to you guys about that as well. And in fact, we're going to do this show a little bit back to front, and we're actually going to start with the ski gear, which is one of my favorite parts of the show. So let's start off, in fact, with what is probably the most technological and exciting part of the ski gear episode segment of the episode, and that is this. So this is the DJI Neo 2 drone. I actually had the Neo 1 drone, which I actually gave away on my social networks recently as part of a giveaway to my viewers and listeners. But this is the new iteration. This is the Neo 2. And for those of you that are watching, you can see it. It literally fits in the palm of your hand. And I actually put this in a pocket in the back of my rucksack when I go skiing. And this drone is sensational because even though you can have it with a remote control, you can even have it with some goggles that you can view through. The best part of this particular drone is the fact that you don't need to have a controller and you can actually just use this like a normal drone that you would just put in your hand, put up. I say normal, there's nothing normal about this at all. You put it in the palm of your hand, it recognizes who you are, what you're wearing and your face. You put it up in the air, it takes off from your hand and it will literally track you down the mountain. You can also get it to do 360-degree rotations around you, for example, to get really, really iconic shots. And you can see some of these on my social media where I've actually used this. And people are always messaging me saying, how did you get that shot? How did you get that shot? Well, it's with this, the DJI Neo 2 drone. This thing is just so exceptional, so much fun, and can get you some really, really interesting content that you can keep for later on in the years to look back at. 4K video, a battery that lasts somewhere in the region of about 15 minutes. Really intuitive to use, super easy, great quality, and I really do think that this is such a good accompaniment for people that go skiing. Now obviously you have to use it in the right situation where there's no one around, but especially for those people that do backcountry, I mean, you can put this thing up and have it follow you on and off for huge periods of time. The batteries are tiny, it weighs next to nothing, and it's just a great way to be able to keep some incredible content for the years moving forwards that you can look back on and get a completely different perspective than that of you holding your own camera. So that is my first item and I highly recommend it. And you'd think that it's really, really expensive, but it's not. It's actually not that expensive at all. So talking of cameras, this is the next one. Now, for years and years, I've used pretty much all of the iterations of the Insta360 cameras. Now, because I've got quite a lot of DJI technology, I thought I would try the Osmo 360, which is quite a different form factor. It's kind of smaller in terms of its height and then a little bit wider, similar weight, but just a slightly different form factor. And to me, the DJI Osmo 360 is a really good competitor to the Insta360 range, the X4 and the X5. And one of the reasons I really like this one is because I do think the video quality is just a little bit better than that of the Insta360s. It's not amazingly better, and you really do have to kind of pixel peep to notice, but I do just prefer some of the colors and the clarity and the definition of the DJI Osmo 360 over the Insta360 X4 and X5, and I actually prefer the form factor as well. So if anyone is in the market for a 360-degree camera, definitely take a look at the Osmo 360. The real downside to the Osmo 360 is the fact that if you do damage a lens, you need to send it off to them to get replaced rather than having user replaceable lenses, but they do it for a very, very reasonable price, and you know it's going to be dust free and come out perfect. The other downside is the software is not quite as up to date as the Insta360, just purely for the fact that they've been doing it a lot longer. But overall, I've been really, really impressed with the footage from this. And again, if you want to see it, if you go to my social media, there's lots of videos on there, including a 20-minute lesson from Simon at PDS that I put the entire carving lesson onto my Instagram. And that was all filmed with the DJI Osmo 360. So yeah, two amazing items there from DJI. Now, next up, and I bought these goggles not really with the sort of idea that they would go on to be something that I would absolutely love. They were more something that I wanted to try out and test and report back to on you guys. But that is the Oakley FlowScape goggle. And this is a completely brand new model from Oakley. The previous interchangeable lens goggles that they did, the Line Miner Pro and the Flight Deck Pro, they just added the Pro version and gave the ability to remove the goggles. This is a brand new model that is built from the ground up completely differently to all of the others. And having just come back from a 3-week trip that I spoke about in the previous episode, the one before last, these were the ones that I ended up using the most, and I was really, really surprised that that was the case, because I actually thought I would use the Flight Deck Pros more, or even my Smith goggles, but as it happened, I fell in love with these and I just used them way more than I ever intended to, and actually probably more than I should have, because I was meant to be testing different versions of different goggles. But these ones are the 50th anniversary edition, so they are gold, which is obviously not for everybody, but you can get a whole range of different colours. I got these because I just don't have anything else like this, so I thought I'd get something different. And what do I like about these? Well, the thing I like the most about these, I don't actually love the styling, but what I do love is this foam that they've used on the back. It's completely different to any other goggles foam. It's no longer a triple layer foam. It's almost like a, I don't know, it's a completely different type of foam. They do have special names for it that I can't remember, but you can go on their website and have a look. But the thing about this foam is it's very narrow and it's made completely differently. And more importantly to all of the sort of geeky stuff is what I love about it is you really can't feel these at all on your face. They're almost more comfortable wearing them than not wearing them. And I don't think that that is the case for any other goggle. These are just so comfortable. Now, in addition to that, because of the way that they've actually angled the front of the lens, because of that foam, because of the overall build of the whole entire thing, you get 60% greater field of view over the Line Miner Pro. Now, what the increase is over the Flight Deck Pro and the Smiths and everything else, I don't know, but 60% increase in field of view over the Line Miner Pro, which is also one of my favorite goggles. And you can really tell that extra field of view. The vision out of these is sensational. And the prism lenses from Oakley, in my opinion, have the highest clarity of any lens on the market. The fact they're not dual pane, they're single pane. I just think everything about this goggle, I don't love the look, like I say, but everything else about it, the comfort, the clarity, the vision, the field of view, is absolutely spectacular. And it's those things that kept making me want to put them on every single day. So yeah, the Oakley FlowScapes, they are very expensive, but I would highly recommend them if you're in a market for a new goggle. They do come with a second lens for low light, and the low light lens that Oakley do give, in my opinion, is the best low light lens on the market. The clarity, the definition is just spectacular. I know I've used them words a lot, but yeah, this is a fantastic goggle, and I would just massively recommend it. Now, what is important when choosing a goggle is that if you already have a helmet, you must take your helmet to the shop and check that the goggle that you want fits with that helmet, and you don't end up looking like one of those melts with the big helmet gap at the top. And it's not all about looks, I joke, but it is more about functionality. You don't want that cold air coming in and giving you like head colds and stuff like that. So do make sure that they definitely fit. Now, in addition to that, I also want to tell you about this little case here that I have from Oakley. I mean, it's not a little case actually, it's a big case. But because I take way too many goggles with me, I love this case, because this case, I've got 4 pairs of goggles in here. I've got the Line Miner Pros, the Flight Deck Pros, the FlowScapes, and I've also got the Head Neves goggles, and I've got a whole range of lenses in here. And it's a padded case that's really a decent size and shape, and gives that protection to all of your goggles. And I have to keep all my things in pristine condition. I've got bad OCD with it. But yeah, that is a really smart case. It's about £50 on their website. And I think they say it's for holding 3 pairs of goggles and spare lenses, but I've actually got 4 in there, no problem at all. And I think that's a really cool case. Now, let's talk about ZipFit. I actually have just done a huge episode on these on my social media. So if you do want to find out more information, head over to there, and I've just done like a really long video about the Fisher ZipFits, the normal ZipFits, how they compare and everything else. And I won't repeat that here. But what I do want to say about these ZipFit liners is, if you are in a boot and your boot doesn't fit you well enough, there's a huge chance that if you put a ZipFit liner in it, all of a sudden that boot is going to be a really good fit. You can pack them out with cork to make them bigger. You can reduce it to make them smaller. They have a range from this one, the Corsa, which is a very low volume, all the way up to the Gara HV, which is a high volume liner. And all in all, they are just fantastic. The build quality is incredible. The fit, the heel hold, the stability, the stiffness, the sturdiness, and most of all, the longevity. If I show you on the camera, obviously you won't be able to see this if you're listening, but this is actually a Fisher ZipFit liner that I'm holding up that is different to the normal ZipFit liners. This one's had well over 100 days of use. Now, bearing in mind that with these, you have to take them out of the boot to put them on and off. It means they get a lot of wear going in and out of the boot. And for the most part, apart from the odd bit of damage here and there, they actually look not that far off of new. And that shows you how quality they are. A lot of my friends that bought boots new and they use the liners that come in the boots, the liner has worn out way before the boot. And in one case, she's probably only skied it for maybe 30, 40 days and the liner is dead. So if you do want to improve your existing boot without having to buy a new boot, you want to make it fit better, you want better heel hold, better comfort, better warmth as well, and also to know that this thing is going to outlast the plastic boot itself, get yourself a ZipFit. I promise you, they are fantastic and they feel totally different to any other liner that you would have ever felt. Now, I said at the beginning, I've got this really funny blue object, and I'm going to hold it up closer to the camera if you're watching on YouTube. Now, this item, you'll be able to see if you're looking on the camera, it's essentially a tiny little pair of glasses. They're dead flat, they are tiny, they weigh absolutely nothing. And if you're like me, and I am really good with my vision outside of what is right in front of my face, I need to be able to have reading glasses with me on the slopes for when I look at my phone for work and whatever else. And I don't really like carrying glasses because I don't need them for normal skiing. I can go without them. I only need them for close up. But recently I damaged my glasses because I had them in my pocket, and I went into an optician's in Val d'Isere, and the lady in there knows me, and she said, oh, I've got the perfect thing. And she gave me these little glasses, and they're only about £20, and you clip them on your nose. And yes, if you're watching, you'll realise that I look absolutely ridiculous right now. I look like something from an old-fashioned Roald Dahl story or something. But the good thing about these is, because they're so tiny and you can just slide them into your pocket, you're not going to notice they're there. You're not going to damage them because they come in a hard case. But what it does do is it just gives you that ability to read your phone if, like me, you struggle with that kind of short vision, if you like. These are awesome. I've got to put my glasses on to read the name of the brand, but they're called Nooz Optics, N-O-O-Z. And I just think if you need a pair of tiny little reading glasses for being on the slope, just to use your phone or read a menu or a map or whatever it might be, this is such a good way to do it without having to worry about damaging your glasses if you fall over or drop them, or even just put pressure on them, or whatever the case may be. Even in queues, maybe you're getting a bit bunched up or something. So those are my ski gear items of the episode. I hope you enjoyed that segment. Let's move on to the next segment, and that is my road trip that I have got coming up over the next, well, it's actually in about a week's time, I think, roughly. I leave on the 27th, so it's 6 days time. I leave on the 27th and I'm away for nearly 3 weeks. And I'm going to tell you guys about that ski trip. But most importantly, what I really want you to get from this is not necessarily the information about my ski trip, but it's the idea of actually going to different ski resorts on your ski trip rather than being stuck in one. And also the idea of taking your car and driving rather than going via the aeroplane, for example. Because if there are more than a few of you, or more than 2 or 3 of you probably, even more than one, driving is not only can be cheaper, it can also take the same amount of time door to door. But in addition to that, it's also way better for the environment as well. And if obviously with all the problems we've got with lack of snow and coldness and all this other stuff, being able to do your little bit for the environment is a good thing. So just remember, I think actually if there's more than 1 or 2 of you, taking the car is way more effective in terms of helping the environment. And I think as well, if you work out the cost, it works out very similar as well. Now, in terms of how long it takes, people always go, oh, it's only an hour on the plane. Yeah, but you've got to get to the airport, wait at the airport. Then on the other end, you've got to get transport from the airport to your place, all of these different things. And I've done both. And I always think that going by a car and Eurotunnel and everything else, and bearing in mind I'm in Kent, so I'm quite close to the Eurotunnel, so that may have an effect on it. If you're in Manchester, obviously you're going to add a lot of time on. But I get the same time door to door with either, and that is roughly 10 to 12 hours depending on where you're going. And that's the same whether I get up, drive to the airport, wait at the airport, get trains and taxis or transport at the other end, as if I just drive, go on the Eurotunnel with my car and then drive from Calais to wherever it is I am going. So cost wise, if there's more of you, it can be quite a bit cheaper doing it that way. For the environment, it's better. And also from a time perspective, it's roughly the same, but that's basing it on where I am in the country. Obviously that would vary depending on where you are in the country. So just bear those things in mind. But either way, it's going to be much of a muchness, I think, from a time perspective. Me, I would rather sit in my car for 10 hours than I would get my way through an airport and go on an aeroplane and all of that stuff and shared transport. I feel much more comfortable in my car. I can stop when I want, go where I want, and I just prefer doing that overall. Now, what is my particular plan? I will run through it now, and I've got to look at my phone because it's a seriously long-winded plan, but I'm going to run through it with you. So basically what I'm doing is, on my first day, I am going to the Tarentaise area, and I'm actually staying in a ski resort called Saint Foy, and I've hired an apartment there, a chalet. Well, it's actually just an apartment that's part of a chalet in Saint Foy in the Tarentaise region, and there will be 5 of us. So there's me, my wife, my daughter, and then we've got our best friends Holly and Molly coming with us as well, and we're all staying in the same apartment, and we're staying there for I think 3 or 4 nights. But we're not necessarily going to ski in Saint Foy every single day. We're going to ski in different resorts. Now, one of the cool things about the Tarentaise area, if you stay somewhere around Saint Foy, or if you stay in Bourg Saint Maurice or somewhere like that, even Les Arcs, for example, or Villa-Roger, what that means is that you've got a whole range of ski resorts that are all within half an hour or so, depending on where you stay. So around that area, you've got Les Arcs, Val d'Isère, Tines, Saint Foy, Le Plan. You've got this whole, and La Rosière. All of these are kind of around the same area, all within roughly half an hour of one another. So what we're going to do on those few days that we're staying in Saint Foy, and we haven't even decided where we're going yet, which I think makes it even more exciting, we're going to go to a different ski resort probably each day. Or we're going to look at the weather, we're going to look at the snow status, the status of the actual resort itself, what's open, what's not, and we're going to just pick on a daily basis. We're going to jump in the car each day and go to a different one. Now, obviously, if we're skiing in Saint Foy, we're already there. We can just take our skis and go straight on the slope. But also, if we want to go to Les Arcs, Villa-Roger, which is connected to the bottom left-hand corner of Les Arcs, is only a 5-minute walk from Saint Foy. So we might not even have to get in the car to go and ski Les Arcs, which is also joined to Le Plan. So there's a huge ability and range of resorts to go to from just that one location. And like I said, you can even stay in Bourg Saint Maurice, which is outside of any ski resort, which is actually going to be quite a bit cheaper as well. And they've even got a vernacular there that takes you all the way up into Les Arcs. Loads of parking. So that's a really cool place or area to go to if you'd like to do a sort of multi-resort trip. And you could go for 5 days, stay somewhere like Bourg Saint Maurice, never drive more than half an hour each day, and you could do 5 or 6 ski resorts in a week, which I think is a huge amount of fun, and much more fun than just staying in one ski resort. So my first few days is in the Tarentaise. Then what we're doing is on January the 31st, i.e. New Year's Eve, once we finish skiing that day in the Tarentaise, we're going to head over to Verbier. Now, if you go on any social media and you search for Verbier New Year's Eve, you'll understand why I want to spend New Year's Eve in Verbier. Now, we're not staying in Verbier itself, we're staying in a place called Martigny, which is about a 15-20 minute drive from Verbier, and we're going to go there after skiing that day, go to our hotel, check in 4, 5, 6 o'clock, have a meal somewhere, we're going to chill, get changed, get ready for the night, and then we're going to go and do New Year's Eve in style in Verbier. And trust me, if you go and look at those videos on TikTok and Instagram, you'll see Verbier looks like the place to be on New Year's Eve. New Year's Day, I always get up early New Year's Day and I go skiing, because New Year's morning, there's no one on the slopes for obvious reasons. So I love skiing New Year's morning. And I'm actually going to go and do a lesson with Gareth Enoch, who was on a previous episode of this show. I'm going to do a morning lesson with Gareth, catch up with him, grab a coffee, and just really enjoy that New Year's morning. I'm not sure who else will get up and come with me, but I am definitely going. And New Year's and Christmas time is a very, very busy week on the ski slopes. So to take advantage of that quiet morning is always a good idea if you're going on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Now, next up, once we finish in Verbier that day, we're literally gonna finish skiing in Verbier. I'll probably ski there all day, even once I've finished with Gareth. And then we are driving to Pila in Italy. And I'm driving to Pila in Italy. We've hired a big apartment there, not necessarily big, but we've hired an apartment there. And this time I've got to drop off everyone at the apartment. Then I've got to drive to Turin airport, and I'm picking up my sister and my nephew, who are coming out to join us in Pila for a few days, which I'm very excited about. Very, very excited about. I wish my brother-in-law and my niece were coming as well, but they're not. It's just my sister and my nephew. So I'm picking them up from the airport. Then I'm driving back to the apartment in Pila. We're actually staying in a little village called Gresan. And then the next day, so that would be the 2nd, 3rd and 4th, we're going to be skiing in Pila. And I absolutely love skiing in Pila. The ski tickets for the day, they're only somewhere in the region of about 45, 50 euros, 55 euros, I think. The food is extremely cheap. The drinks are extremely cheap. And I just love skiing there. I've only done one day there before, but I was desperate to go back, and this is going to be the time that I go back. And I think everyone that's with me is going to love it just as much as I do. Now, what we might do on one of those days, haven't fully decided yet, it will be based on the weather and how everyone's feeling. Cervinia is only a 1 hour drive from Pila. So maybe once everyone's had 2 days on the slopes, because Pila is a fairly easy place to ski, maybe on our 3rd day, we might drive to Cervinia, and I might get to take everybody over to Cervinia, go all the way up to the Matterhorn Paradise and do it in reverse and go into Zermatt and then come all the way back down and go back into Cervinia. I would love to give my sister especially that experience if possible, but it's going to have a lot of depending factors on it. So if not, we'll just do 3 days in Pila. On the 5th, I've got to drop everyone except my wife and daughter to Turin airport, and they're all going to fly home. And then I'm getting my wife and my daughter, and we are going off to my favourite place in the world, back to Zermatt, where I've literally just got back from. And we're going to ski there from the 6th to the 9th of January. Now, once we finish on the 9th, we're then going to jump in the car and we are going to drive to the Three Valleys. And then from the 10th to the 12th, we are staying in Courchevel, and we are skiing the Three Valleys, the 10th, the 11th and the 12th, which I'm very much looking forward to. I've only ever skied the Three Valleys in March, so I'm looking forward to doing it when it's not slushy in the afternoons and it's nice and cold and everything's open. And I'm super excited to ski the Three Valleys for those days. Then on the 12th, we finish in the Three Valleys and we drive to Alpe d'Huez. And we are staying from the 13th to the 15th in Alpe d'Huez. We'll ski 1 or 2 days in Alpe d'Huez. And that is the end of the trip. And then we come all the way home. But like I said, included in this trip, you are talking, I don't know, I haven't added it up, but we're somewhere in the region. It's got to be, 6 to 10 different ski resorts, something like that. Me personally, I just love going to different places. I couldn't do weeks and weeks in a certain place except for Zermatt because I think I would get bored. I really just like the excitement of going to different places, experiencing different things. And the nice thing is as well, because we're going for a fairly decent period of time, there's travel days in there, which sort of breaks up the skiing a little bit as well and allows you to sort of stop off at other places, have lunch at other places, coffee, and just enjoy the journey as well as the actual skiing. So that is my bumper ski trip. I know it probably sounds like a lot for a lot of people, and a lot of people are probably thinking, oh no, I just want to go to a resort, chill out, do the après, do my skiing, and then go home, which is obviously amazing as well. And obviously everyone should do exactly what makes them happy. But I do want to open up the idea of going on this kind of road trip type adventure to people, and just explaining that it is possible. You can do this. There's no reason why you can't. In a way, it does introduce extra costs, obviously, and the ski passes can be more expensive because you're not getting that discount of doing multiple days, but you do get to go on a crazy adventure. And if you use ChatGPT, you use Google Maps, you can pick your place, your base, for example, somewhere in the Tarentaise, and it's really easy to navigate and go to multiple ski resorts and experience them all, even if you're only going for a week. And I really, really do think that people should give that a go and see how you get on. And maybe, for example, in those 4 or 5 days of trying those 4 or 5 different resorts, you might then decide, like I did, that, oh, I actually want to go to Val d'Isère and I want to stay there for a week because it's just that kind of place. Or maybe you'd go somewhere and think, oh, Saint Foy, even though it's this small, beautiful, stunning little quiet, sort of less expensive resort, maybe you just think, oh, that's the one for me. But you'll never know these things unless you give them a go. And spending a day somewhere can give you a really good insight as to whether or not you're going to love a particular ski resort. Now let's talk a little bit about the weather. We had that huge amount of snow across the Alps late November, early December, and it really did set the season up to look like it was going to be a sensational one. Unfortunately, since then, there's been not really any snow, and we've had spring-like conditions, which in a lot of places has been fairly detrimental to the snow quality. However, because it's been December, the sun, I'm getting in a muddle here. The sun has not deteriorated the snowpack too much. So what is now happening is we've got a much colder front coming in right across most of the Alps. And that means that not only can they turn the snow machines back on, and the snow is going to start getting itself into a better state because the coldness is going to be there, but we've also got in a lot of places a decent amount of snow coming in. So if you check out the weather over the next couple of weeks, it really does look like a lot of the Alps is going to have a white Christmas Day, which is incredible. And I'm bitterly jealous of anyone who will be skiing on Christmas Day. But it also means that it's going to set up the new year and the beginning of January, and hopefully we'll get even more snow. And it's really looking good to be a good start to 2026. So anyone that's going skiing that's worried about the weather or wondering what is happening, that is essentially it. Obviously it does vary depending on the region, north, south, you know, Austrian Alps, Swiss Alps, French Alps, all of that. But if you want to get a good idea of what is going on, download an app called Berg FEX, and they tend to be relatively accurate on there. And that will give you a rough idea of what's going to be happening over the next couple of weeks. But there is no doubt that temperatures are finally coming down. We're getting a bit of snow, and that is going to set us up for a good start to 2026. Praying to the snow gods that we get more snow than I've seen on the weather apps, and that we get a real good downfall and everyone has a fantastic Christmas and New Year on their ski holidays. But that is it from me. I have now got to head out onto my family party for today for Christmas. I hope you guys have the most sensational Christmas and New Year's. I hope you're all going out there on some fantastic ski trips and ski holidays, not only throughout Christmas and New Year, but also into January, February, March, April, and potentially even May. Let me know in the comments where you're going and what you're doing. Please do follow along my journey on social media. I'm a massive oversharer. I put loads of stuff up. So if you want to live vicariously through me until you go on your own ski trip like I do when I follow people online, then please do. All the links are in the show notes or the video description, and I will see you all in the next one.